Interested in studying in the USA? Get ready to take notes because this video is for you.
Hello, nice to meet you today. My name is Jenna Hartzell and I'm the British Council's IELTS representative. I am joined here today by Jason Kahabka, Dean for Administration at the Cornell University Graduate School, and Mariah McNamara, Director of Admissions and Fellowships at the Cornell University Graduate School. Thank you for being here with us today.
It's great to meet you, Jenna. Thank you.
Good morning.
Jason and Mariah, tell us, what are the benefits of studying at your university for international students?
We have a world-class faculty. These are professors who are experts in their respective disciplines. And at the graduate level, faculty work very closely one-on-one with doctoral students and master's students. And that relationship can really be transformational. So I think probably our best benefit that we offer students is the chance to work so closely with these amazing scholars in their field. And Cornell is a very international university, and at the graduate level, half of our students are from outside the US. So with 50% international students, it's an incredibly diverse and really exciting environment for students to learn in, because you meet people from all over the world. Cornell was always open to people of any race, of any economic class, of any gender, and that the notion that they could find their own studies there, that this wasn't just a technical university, this wasn't just a liberal arts university, this wasn't just a classical university. This was a place where people could really make their own academic path. And that's something that we still take to heart today.
And what is the process of selecting successful candidates for your programs?
Well, like many of the best universities in the U.S., Cornell is committed to a holistic review of applicants. So this means that rather than focusing on things like just test scores or just GPA, we look at the whole person. So we look at their unique perspectives and the experience that they bring to the campus or would bring to the campus. I think it's important to understand too that at the research level, it's the faculty members who are reviewing the applications. So what they're looking at is really this good match between the applicant and their skills and their experience and their interests and things that they would bring to the university and the program itself, the strengths of the program. So, you know, we might have excellent applicants who just don't have research interests that match faculty research interests, but if there's that good fit, then that's what we're really looking for.
I'll add to that, one of the things that's really important, and that sometimes I think students and applicants don't really understand the purpose of them, is the letter of recommendation. And for most US schools, the faculty who are reading graduate applications will look for letters of recommendation that really speak to the student's academic skills, and in particular, the ones that will relate directly to their graduate programs.
And you mentioned a holistic admissions process. For students who are less familiar with that and what that looks like, could you expand a little bit more on that and what holistic admissions looks like?
So like I said, it's rather than focusing exclusively on things like test scores or transcripts or maybe even the reputation of the undergraduate school, it's looking at the whole package, the whole picture, and looking for ways in which the applicant and their experiences would align with the university's mission and our institutional goals. So it's really looking, I mean, test scores are important, grades are important, but they're just one piece of the whole picture. So really including a thoughtfully written statement of purpose is important, providing any research experience, you know, a written summary of research experience, a CV, things like that are all carefully considered by the faculty who are making the decisions about the applicants.
Another factor that we think carefully about is we try to look for applicants who have been successful at taking advantage of all the opportunities they've been given, but to not penalize applicants who haven't had the privilege of certain opportunities, but to really look for students who've maximized the ones they've been given. And that's to help make sure that we're not creating a bias or rewarding privilege as opposed to rewarding achievement.
And what are your university's admission requirements?
Well, we need to see transcripts from every college or university that an applicant has attended. And when they enroll, at the time that they enroll, they need to have completed an undergraduate degree at a U.S. institution or its international equivalent. And then international applicants also need to show that they've met our English language proficiency requirements. So the way that usually happens is with the IELTS academic exam or a TOEFL exam. Then there are a lot of other degree admissions requirements that vary by degree program. So those frequently include things like GRE or GMAT scores, a statement of purpose, an academic statement of purpose that might have a particular written prompt that someone needs to respond to, writing samples, resume or CV. But we have all of the requirements listed on our website, and so you can find that information very easily.
In many programs, they will be looking at English language proficiency, both in terms of can the student be successful and could the student be able to teach the material to undergraduates as a teaching assistant. And so you may, applicants who are considering coming to the US may want to think about practicing language and developing language skills so that they could be prepared to do both.
And does your university have an installment payment plan or scholarships available to international students?
So at Cornell, we have a policy that we don't admit students who are into the doctoral program who are not fully funded. And that means that their health insurance, their tuition, and their stipend is paid for either through Cornell or through an external funding agency. Sometimes that's Fulbright, sometimes that's through the student's home country's government, or sometimes students who've won fellowships. But at the doctoral level, the question about payment plans is actually, the answer is even better because we really don't expect students to pay for doctoral degrees. Almost all PhD programs at the top level universities, the research universities in the United States, are free. And in fact, they're not just free in terms of there's no tuition charge. Almost all PhD programs will provide students with a living stipend to cover their cost of food and rent and other living expenses. There's much less funding available at the master's level. So typically students who are enrolling in a master's program should have a plan to fund their master's degree. Cornell does offer a payment plan, so students can spread the payments out over the duration of their time here, but to be candid, there are less opportunities for loans or for extended payment plans for international students.
So after an international student is admitted and accepts the offer of admission, we ask them to provide documentation that they can cover the costs of attendance for the duration of their program. That's the whole program all at once, all up front. And we recognize that that is a very big ask for a lot of applicants, but we see a lot of our incoming students are very successful, often at applying for government scholarships, for Fulbright awards and things like that, and many of them come with external support, so that can be very helpful. Others are able to save with their family members enough money to pay for a master's degree, and they'll show us those bank statements showing that the funds are available to cover the tuition bills. So we just need to make sure before a student arrives that they're going to be able to pay their tuition so that they don't get partway into a program and then find themselves unable to continue.
So one of the takeaway messages I would share with students who are considering applying is apply to several universities. That's always a wise decision. And then carefully compare the offers of admission and look to see which one provides the most financial aid, and recognize that the list price, the advertised price for the tuition, is perhaps not the most important number. It really is most important to understand what the true cost will be once you see whether there's any funding offered.
And I think it's worth mentioning too that you should always look at the cost of living in the area that you're going to be moving to. So one school might offer a lower tuition amount, but it might cost more to live in that town or city.
And how far in advance would you recommend that students start the university application process?
I think it's good to start at least a year to a year and a half ahead of time, thinking about where you want to go, what schools you want to apply to, how your interests might align with the university's research interests. And once you've identified a few programs that you're interested in, look at the admissions requirements, see if there are any required tests that need to be taken, and schedule those ahead of time so that you have your scores received by the institution before the application deadline. You'll also want to start thinking about picking really top-notch recommenders to write your letters of recommendation, and think about how to write that important academic statement of purpose. But I can say that most of our applications open in the middle of August with deadlines that are in December or January. So as long as everything is together in that time frame, some people do apply, they don't necessarily have as much lead time before they submit their application.
On our website, you'll find that for each graduate program, we provide data on the number of students who apply annually, how many are accepted, how many of those students come, what the program size is, how many students are in it, what the completion rates are. Our goal is to make sure that students have enough information to make the right decision for them. And I think that that's a really helpful change that's happened recently, and you'll find that in many schools' websites. I think that the more information an applicant can learn about the programs they're applying to, the more creative and the more strategic they can be with their materials.
Well, Jason and Mariah, thank you so much for being here with us today and for telling us more about your university and universities in the U.S.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jenna. It's been a pleasure.
Still interested? Then get ready to take the IELTS with the British Council.